Hi guys, Alistair Davies here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're a first time viewer, please subscribe and join me in my journey and let's hopefully lower your scores. Today's video is all about the wrists in the backswing, and most importantly how the wrist should cock and when they should cock in the backswing. Now some guys out there will call this wrist hinge. Just to be sure, wrist hinge for me is this movement and wrist cock or radial deviation is this movement. So I'm going to talk to you about when they should cock and the advantages of cocking them in an earlier position rather than a later position. Keep watching to find out how. So today really what I'm talking about is basically this action of the wrist as we work in the backswing. So it's basically a straight up and down kind of hammer action onto the ground of the wrist as we move in the backswing. So a lot of players will ask if they should set the wrist early or late, and I can show you excellent players, tour players, world champions and so on, that will set the wrist later and some will set the wrist earlier. So by all means there is no one way to do this. Now for me there are a couple of advantages to setting the wrist slightly earlier in the backswing, and let me go through those for you now. So first of all, for me, the wrist should cock somewhere between the thigh and your kind of rib cage, somewhere in this kind of area here of the backswing. That's the ideal world. Now, the reason why I think that's an ideal world is because if the wrists cock early, it's easier to maintain your width with your arms and the distance between your hands and your chest at the top of the backswing, and therefore helps to create that transition much smoother and less messy. So the guys that tend to set the wrists kind of late will tend to have this kind of narrowing effect in that transition area, and quite often that can lead to them getting a little bit kind of stuck and a little bit flippy flappy through the golf ball. For me, I'd rather get the wrists setting early and then maintain that position to the top of the swing and try and finish the swing with arms and body matched, and then the downswing turn onto the golf ball and hit the ball sweetly away, hopefully. So a couple of things to talk to you about almost conceptually how you can feel this wrist cock and when it should happen. You'll see here I've got a T-peg in the end of the club here. What I'm looking for really with this T-peg, that it points down to this alignment rod in the backswing fairly early. And we can actually hit shots presetting from here and swinging if we wanted to. That's okay as a drill, but I'd rather you create some flowing action ideally. So really all I'm after is really trying to feel that the start of the swing starts with the arms, the wrist cock, and the turn kind of happen at the same kind of time, like this. And we set this T-peg on that alignment rod as a rough guide. Now to be on plane on the correct direction, I'd want this alignment rod kind of through the ball line. But just as a point of reference of pointing down to the ground, I'm happy with it there. Conceptually, quite often I talk about the shaft being full of water. So you imagine if this shaft was full of water here, and then as we get kind of halfway back, feeling I'd let the water run onto the ground. That's kind of the objective and feel of this earlier wrist cock. So what we would do is set these wrists onto correct plane, set them early and maintain that to the top of the swing, and then hit the ball. And again, as I said, try and make that then as smooth as possible, rather than kind of floaty and laggy and messy. Now there are players that do it that way and do a fantastic job, and I would never change it if it's successful and creates the right ball flight and it doesn't create any of these, let's say, mistakes that we'd see as a knock-on effect in the downswing. So again, don't go changing your wrist action if you do a great job on the downswing. There's no need to do that. So let's go ahead and hit a ball. Try and feel this wrist cock happen nice and early. Quite deliberate is what I'm going to feel it. Let the water run out the shaft and hit a ball away. Okay, a little bit off balance there, first shot of the day. But I got good contact, I got the good feeling of the wrist cock there happening early. And I particularly think this is a good way of feeling the swing should be for the guys that tend to get that kind of long, messy, and even that kind of, let's say, rushed look to the downswing. So really kind of feel like we have the structure of setting those wrists early, keeping those arms structured in the backswing, and then getting them connected to match the turn, so the body and arms match each other. That for me would be the ideal scenario. Have a go at this at home. Post any questions or comments down below. I'd welcome them. And it really helps my channel, so thank you for that. And it also helps the direction of the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed the video, please like it and share if you can. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, please hit my logo down the corner here and join me on my journey, and let's lower your scores. See you again here soon.